Elias had never expected anything unusual to visit his small home at the edge of the cliffs. The wind swept across the barren rocks, carrying the salty scent of the distant sea, and the sky was a soft shade of orange as the sun began to set. He was finishing his day cleaning the small tools he used for farming, when a shadow fell over the porch. At first he thought it was a large bird, maybe one of the strange raptors that sometimes flew over the cliffs. But this shadow was different. It moved slowly, heavy and deliberate, and the air seemed to vibrate around it. Elias's heart beat faster. He stepped closer to the edge of the porch, squinting against the fading light. Then he saw it, a dragon. The creature was massive, larger than any story or painting he had ever seen. Its scales shimmered with colors like metal and stone, reflecting the last rays of the sun. Its wings were folded against its sides, but even at rest they seemed strong enough to block the sky. The dragon's eyes were closed, its head resting on the wooden planks as if it had no strength left to hold itself upright. Elias froze. Every instinct told him to run. Dragons were not ordinary creatures. They were legends, creatures feared across the galaxy. Entire cities had fallen in tales because of dragons, and yet, here it was, lying helpless on his porch. For a moment, fear ruled him. He imagined the stories, a dragon waking, furious, breathing fire, or tearing through his small home with one swipe of its claw. But then he saw the dragon's shallow breathing, the way its chest rose and fell with effort. It was hurt, and perhaps more alone than Elias had ever been. Something inside him shifted. He could not leave it there. Not when it looked so tired, so broken. Taking a deep breath, he approached slowly, careful not to make sudden movements. The dragon's eye opened slightly. A golden glow flickered within, not angry, not hostile, just tired and wary. Elias stopped and raised his hands in a gesture of peace. "It's okay. I'm not going to hurt you," he said softly, almost whispering to himself. The dragon watched him for a long moment. Elias could feel its gaze like a weight pressing on his chest, and yet there was no attack, no warning. Just a long, quiet stare. Elias looked around his small porch. There was little to offer, only a blanket, some water, and scraps of dried meat he had saved from the morning. Carefully he set the food down near the dragon's head. The dragon sniffed the air, its nostrils flaring. Its tongue flicked out briefly, touching the food, but it did not eat. Instead, it lowered its head slightly, almost bowing as if acknowledging his gesture. Elias's heart skipped a beat. Could a dragon really understand kindness? Could it recognize it in a human? He moved closer and laid the blanket over the dragon's broad shoulders. The scales were rough under his hands but warm, almost alive. The dragon made a low, rumbling sound, like a purr mixed with a growl, and settled its massive body deeper into the porch. Its wings twitched slightly, then rested. Elias stepped back, amazed. He had never touched a dragon before. He had never even seen one this close, and now it was here, trusting him in a way that frightened and thrilled him at the same time. He spent the next hour sitting nearby, talking softly, telling the dragon stories about his life on the cliffs, the fields he tended, the lonely nights he spent watching the stars. He did not expect a response, but he felt the dragon listening as if it understood every word. Sometimes the creature's eyes would open, flickering with gold in the dim light, and Elias would pause, meeting its gaze. Night fell and the sky turned deep blue, dotted with stars. The wind had calmed, and the moon cast a soft glow over the porch. The dragon had not moved much, but it was breathing steadily now. Elias felt a mix of pride and awe. He had taken a huge risk, yet he did not regret it. Somehow he had saved this incredible creature, even if only for a night. As he prepared a small fire at the edge of the porch, Elias wondered where the dragon had come from. Its injuries were serious, and its presence here was no accident. He could not shake the feeling that something larger was at play, something beyond his understanding. But for now it rested. And he, a simple human, had offered shelter to a being that could command the skies. Elias did not know it yet, but this night on his small porch would change his life forever. The night was quiet, broken only by the soft crackle of the fire Elias had built. The dragon lay on his porch, breathing slowly, its massive chest rising and falling with effort. Elias sat a few feet away, leaning against the railing, still in awe of the creature. Even after hours he could hardly believe it was real. He watched the dragon's eyes, half closed, glowing faintly in the firelight. There was something in them, something ancient, something wise. It was not the mindless beast of legends. This was a being that had seen worlds, fought battles, and survived storms that could destroy entire cities. Yet now it lay weak and silent, trusting a human it had never met. Elias whispered softly, I don't know how you got hurt, or why you came here. But you can stay. I'll help you. The dragon moved slightly. Its head lifted, and for a moment, Elias thought it was about to strike. Then to his surprise, the dragon's eyes flickered and a warm, gentle voice filled his mind. It was not spoken aloud. He did not hear it with his ears but with his thoughts. Human, you are kind. Elias froze. His heart raced. He had heard stories of dragons communicating through thoughts, but he had never believed it. I'm just trying to help, he replied, unsure if the dragon could hear him clearly. I feel your heart, your courage, the dragon said. You are rare among your kind. Elias swallowed hard. Why me? I'm just a farmer, a simple man. I don't know anything about courage. The dragon's eyes narrowed slightly, but there was no anger. Courage is not born from strength. It is born from choice. You chose to care when fear told you to run. Elias shivered. He had never thought of it that way. The dragon's words were heavy, but they were not threatening. They were kind. He looked at the dragon more closely now. Its scales shimmered with strange colors, gold and bronze mixed with hints of silver. There were small cuts and scratches across its wings and shoulders. The injuries looked old, but the dragon was still in pain. Elias knew he had to do something. He walked carefully to his small workbench and gathered some herbs, water, and cloth. Kneeling beside the dragon, he gently cleaned the cuts. The dragon's eyes closed and a low rumble vibrated from its throat. It was almost like a purr. You have healed many, haven't you? Elias asked softly, thinking aloud. Yes. I have seen much suffering, the dragon replied in his mind. I have healed, I have fought, I have commanded. And yet, I have never known patience like yours. Elias felt a mix of fear and pride. It was strange to speak with such a being, to share words without sound. He wondered if he was dreaming. He pinched himself lightly. It hurt. This was real. Hours passed and the dragon rested. Elias stayed near, keeping watch, tending the fire and quietly speaking. He told the dragon about his life on the cliffs, the small human settlement, and the stars he watched at night. The dragon listened, occasionally shifting slightly, watching him with golden eyes that seemed to look through him and into him. You are different from the humans I have known, the dragon said. Most fear me. Most would have fled or tried to strike. I guess, Elias replied slowly, I've never been very good at fear. Or at least I try not to let it rule me. The dragon made a low hum. It is a rare trait, and it will serve you well. There are forces in this universe that will not understand your choice tonight. Forces that will see your kindness as weakness. Elias frowned. Forces? What do you mean? I cannot tell you everything yet, the dragon said. There are things you are not ready to know, secrets that could overwhelm a human mind. Elias felt a chill. The dragon was clearly hiding something important. But he also sensed that it trusted him, that it needed him. He nodded slowly. Then I'll wait. I can wait. The night grew colder and the fire burned lower. The dragon shifted, curling slightly to conserve energy. Elias wrapped a blanket around himself and leaned back against the railing, his eyes never leaving the massive form. There was a strange sense of peace now, as if the dragon's presence, though immense and terrifying, was also comforting. I feel respect for you, human, the dragon said. Few in my lifetime have earned it so quickly. Elias smiled faintly. I guess we both saved each other tonight. The dragon rumbled again, a sound like distant thunder. Elias thought he saw a faint smile in its eyes. He didn't know it yet, but this night would mark the beginning of something extraordinary. The dragon was not just any dragon. It was a leader, a creature of immense power, with wings that had flown over countless worlds. And Elias, a simple man with a kind heart, had given it shelter when it needed it most. As the stars shone above, Elias felt a strange sense of destiny. This dragon had come to him for a reason, and somehow he knew his life was about to change forever. The next morning, Elias woke to the sound of the wind whistling across the cliffs. The sun was just rising, painting the sky in soft oranges and pinks. He stretched and rubbed his eyes, looking at the dragon still resting on his porch. It had moved slightly, sitting upright now, its wings folded neatly against its sides. Even wounded, it looked powerful and commanding, like a creature born to rule the skies. Elias felt a mix of awe and worry. The dragon had stayed silent through the night, speaking only in soft thoughts that flickered in his mind. He didn't understand much about dragons, but he knew this one was not ordinary. Something about it made the air feel heavier, as if the world itself paid attention to its presence. Before he could move closer, a strange hum echoed across the cliffs. Elias froze. It was soft at first, almost like a distant storm, but then it grew louder, vibrating through the ground. He glanced at the horizon and his heart sank. Shadows moved fast against the sky, small, sleek shapes flying in formation. Alien scouts. Elias had heard stories of aliens attacking remote settlements, taking anything valuable, and destroying anyone who resisted. And now they were here. But he also sensed something else. The aliens were not after him. They were after the dragon. "Stay here," he whispered to the dragon. "I'll try to slow them down." The dragon's eyes glowed faintly. "You are brave, human, but these enemies are not ordinary. Their weapons can tear through mountains." Elias swallowed hard. He knew he had no weapons like that, no ships or armies. But he had something the aliens might not expect. His home, the cliffs, and his own cleverness. The first scout came close, hovering over the cliff edge. It was a small, metallic craft, sleek and black with glowing red lights. Elias had only moments to act. He grabbed a bucket of oil from his shed and threw it across the narrow path leading up to his porch. The oil spilled just as the scout descended, and the creature inside slipped and struggled to stabilize. "Good enough for now," Elias muttered. More scouts appeared, moving faster this time, scanning the area. Elias ran to his small shed, grabbing ropes, chains, and the old pulley system he had built years ago. He began setting traps along the narrow paths and the cliffs. He tied ropes to rocks, prepared nets, and arranged metal scraps in ways that would make noise and cause confusion. As the aliens advanced, the dragon remained calm. Its eyes glowed gold, and Elias thought he saw a faint hum of energy around it, almost like the air itself was bending near the creature. The dragon spoke again in his mind. "Use what you have. Think like the wind. Think like the cliffs." Elias nodded, understanding. The dragon could not fight fully yet, but it could guide him. He positioned himself carefully, waiting for the right moment. The scouts moved closer. One tried to land on the porch, but a hidden rope pulled it sideways, causing it to crash into the rocks. Another fired a small energy beam, but Elias's metal scraps reflected it harmlessly into the cliffside. He moved quickly, tying and adjusting traps, his heart pounding with every move. Finally, one scout got too close, sensing the dragon's presence directly. The dragon lifted its head and let out a deep roar that shook the air. The sound was not just loud, it was powerful, vibrating through the ground, making the cliffs tremble. The scouts faltered, confused and terrified. Elias took advantage of the moment, pulling a rope that sent a net flying over one of the smaller crafts, tangling it completely. The alien scouts retreated, regrouping in the distance, hesitant to approach further. Elias leaned against a rock, breathing heavily, staring at the dragon. You helped me," he said. "I couldn't have done this without you." The dragon's gaze softened. "And you helped me. Few humans would have chosen to face them. Few humans have your courage. You are not ordinary." Elias smiled faintly even though his hands still shook. He knew this was only the beginning. The aliens would return, stronger and more determined. And the dragon, though recovering, could not fight at full strength. But for the first time Elias felt a spark of hope. He and the dragon had faced a threat together. They had survived. And somehow he knew that human cleverness, his own ingenuity, was a force the galaxy had underestimated. The dragon lowered its head, resting again, but its eyes never left the horizon. Elias realized that this creature, which seemed so powerful, was also vulnerable. And yet it trusted him. "This is just the start," the dragon said in his mind. "The enemies that hunt me will not stop. And soon they will bring their full strength. You must be ready, human." "I will be," Elias replied. "I don't know how, but I'll find a way." The sun climbed higher, casting long shadows across the cliffs. The wind was still, heavy with tension, and Elias felt the weight of what was coming. The alien scouts would return, and the next time they would not make mistakes. But for now they had a chance. The dragon rested, the traps held, and a simple human had stood against what others might call impossible. Elias looked at the dragon and whispered almost to himself, "I don't know what kind of leader you are, but I'll protect you as long as I can." The dragon's eyes glowed brighter for a moment, as if acknowledging the promise. Elias knew this was only the beginning of something far larger than himself. A storm was coming and it would shake the skies. But together, he and the dragon had proven that courage and cleverness could stand against even the most terrifying threats. The next night, the wind had calmed and the stars were bright and clear. Elias sat near the small fire on the porch, staring at the dragon. Its injuries were healing, though slowly. The creature moved with more strength now, its wings flexing slightly as if testing the air. Elias felt a strange mixture of fear and awe. Even now he could hardly believe such a being was here, trusting him completely. The dragon's eyes glowed gold in the firelight. For a long moment it did not speak. Then Elias felt the familiar pulse in his mind, the telepathic voice he had grown used to. "Human," the dragon said softly, "you have earned my trust. Few could face the threats you face today. Few would have the courage to act as you did." Elias swallowed hard. I didn't do anything extraordinary. I just tried to protect you." The dragon's eyes seemed to pierce him. "No. You see things differently from your kind. Where others see fear, you see opportunity. Where others flee, you act. This is rare. It is why I have revealed myself to you." Elias frowned. "Revealed yourself? What do you mean?" The dragon shifted, lowering its massive head closer to him. Its scales shimmered under the firelight, like metal polished in the sun. Then, slowly, it spoke aloud for the first time. Its voice was deep, rich, and powerful, echoing slightly as if the air itself carried it. "I am Aranther, ruler of the sky realms. My species commands the skies across countless worlds. I am their leader. And now, human, you know my truth." Elias staggered back a step, nearly falling over. His eyes widened. You're the leader? The sky, the worlds? I just thought you were a dragon." Aranther lowered his head, resting it near Elias's feet. "Most humans do. They see only a creature of myth and fire. They do not understand the weight I bear, the responsibility of ruling those who soar above the stars." Elias's mind raced. He thought of the alien scouts earlier, how they had come for the dragon. They were after you. The scouts, the ships. They wanted to capture you, didn't they? Aranther's eyes glimmered. "Yes. Many fear my presence. They believe power like mine must be controlled or destroyed. And yet, you did not fear me. You offered shelter, kindness, and courage. That is why I am alive today. That is why I speak freely with you." Elias took a deep breath, still trying to understand. "I never imagined I would meet someone like you. And now, you're trusting me?" The dragon rumbled softly. "I trust few. Even among my kind, trust is rare. But you showed me that humans are capable of great courage, not just for themselves but for others. You are not like the rest. You are remarkable." Elias felt a warmth in his chest, a mix of pride, fear, and amazement. I never thought of myself as remarkable. I just try to do what's right." Aranther's wings flexed, casting long shadows across the porch. "Then it is your actions, not your thought, that define you. Actions carry more weight than words, human. And your actions saved me." For a long moment, they simply sat together in silence. The night was calm, the fire crackling softly. Elias felt a bond forming, fragile yet powerful. He had saved this being, and in return, it had revealed secrets few humans could ever imagine. "Aranther," Elias said finally, "why did you come here? Why my porch?" The dragon tilted its massive head. "Destiny brought me here. Or perhaps chance. I do not know which. What matters is that I found refuge with one who would act with heart, not fear. You are rare, human. Few could do what you did." Elias smiled faintly, shaking his head. "I suppose we both saved each other then?" Aranther's eyes glowed brighter, almost warmly. "Yes. And now we are bound. You have seen my truth and I have seen yours. You will play a part in what comes next. The universe is vast and forces will move against us. You must be ready, human." Elias's heart pounded. I don't know if I'm ready. I'm just a man with a small home and a few tools." "Readiness comes not from strength or tools," Aranther said softly. "It comes from courage, heart, and choice. You have all three. That is enough." Elias looked at the dragon, sitting majestically on his porch, and felt a strange sense of destiny. He realized that this night, this simple bond of trust and courage would change everything. The dragon, the ruler of the skies, had chosen him as an ally. And he, a simple human, had proven that even the smallest spark could ignite greatness. The stars shimmered above, and Elias felt the weight of what was coming. Danger would not wait and the universe would test them both. But for the first time he felt ready. Together, human and dragon, they could face whatever storms the cosmos might bring. The night stretched on, quiet but full of promise. Elias sat close to the dragon, speaking softly, telling it stories of the human world, of simple lives and simple joys. Aranther listened, occasionally rumbling in approval, and Elias realized that trust was not just given. It was built, moment by moment, through courage, kindness, and understanding. And in that moment, a bond stronger than fear, stronger than doubt, was formed. a bond that would shape the fate of worlds yet to come. The next morning the sun rose slowly over the cliffs, casting long shadows across Elias's small home. The air was calm but the tension was heavy. Elias knew the alien scouts would return. They had only retreated earlier, unsure of the dragon's power and his clever traps. This time they would come stronger. Aranther stretched his massive wings, flexing them slowly. The dragon's scales shimmered under the early sunlight, gold and bronze reflecting on the rocks below. Elias stood at the edge of the porch, feeling both fear and determination. He was just a human, and yet, together with the dragon, they had a chance. "They will come for me," Aranther said, his deep voice vibrating in Elias's mind. "And when they do, we must act. You will not be merely a bystander, human." Elias nodded. "I'll do what I can. I don't know if it will be enough, but I'll try." The first scout appeared on the horizon, a small speck at first, then growing larger as it approached. Behind it, more scouts followed, dozens in total, sleek and armed with glowing weapons. Elias's heart raced. He could feel the weight of what was coming. "Use the traps," Aranther said. "And remember, your mind is your greatest weapon. They will not expect it." Elias moved quickly, checking the ropes, pulleys and nets he had set up the previous day. He grabbed oil, stones and scraps of metal, preparing improvised defenses. The narrow cliffs worked to his advantage. The aliens could not maneuver easily. The first scouts descended, firing small energy beams. Elias ducked behind a rock, pulling a rope that sent a net over one of the ships. It crashed into the cliffside, sparks flying. Another scout tried to land near the porch, but Elias rolled a weighted log down the slope. It struck the craft, sending it tumbling into the rocks below. Aranther watched, eyes glowing, his presence commanding the space around him. Then with a deep roar he rose into the air, stretching his wings wide. The wind from his movement stirred the cliffs, sending small stones sliding down. His roar was more than sound, it was a warning, a force that made the aliens hesitate, their ships trembling as if the air itself resisted them. Elias moved closer to the dragon, shouting over the roar. "Now, Aranther. Let's finish this." The dragon swooped, claws extended, knocking several scouts off balance. Energy beams fired at him, but they barely grazed his scales. He moved with incredible speed, his wings cutting through the air, forcing the alien ships to scatter. Elias used the chaos to his advantage, pulling ropes that sent nets over others, causing crashes and confusion. The aliens tried to regroup, but Aranther's presence was overwhelming. The dragon's eyes glowed brighter, and Elias could feel the energy pulsing through the air. The ground shook with each beat of Aranther's wings. The scouts had underestimated a human working with a dragon of this power. Finally, the remaining alien ships retreated, battered and confused. Elias leaned against a rock, panting, his hands covered in cuts and bruises. He looked up at Aranther, who had landed back on the porch, wings folding carefully against his sides. "You did well," Aranther said, his voice deep but approving. "Few humans could have done what you did. You are clever, brave, and essential." Elias shook his head, still in disbelief. "I just did what I had to do. I couldn't let them take you." The dragon rumbled, a sound like distant thunder. "Then your heart has proven itself, human. You are not ordinary. The universe will remember this day." For the first time, Elias felt a deep sense of pride. He was just a simple man with a small home on the edge of the cliffs, yet he had stood against powerful enemies and survived. He had protected a being of unimaginable strength. He had shown courage, cleverness, and determination. Aranther lowered his massive head, letting Elias touch his shimmering scales. "The bond we share will carry further than you can imagine. The skies will speak of your actions, human. The universe will take notice." Elias smiled faintly. He looked around at his porch, the small home that had suddenly become the center of something much larger. His simple acts of kindness had led to this moment. The dragon, the leader of the skies, had trusted him. And together they had turned the tide against impossible odds. As the sun climbed higher, Aranther lifted into the sky, wings wide and powerful. He circled once over the cliffs, letting out a roar that echoed across the valleys, a warning and a promise. Then he soared higher, disappearing into the endless blue, leaving Elias standing on the porch, breathing in the crisp morning air. The alien threat had been driven back for now. Elias knew it would not be the last time danger came for the dragon, or for him. But the events of the past days had proven one thing. Humanity, even a single human, could stand against incredible odds. With courage, intelligence, and heart, they could shape the universe in ways even the most powerful beings might underestimate. Elias looked at the empty sky, a smile spreading across his face. The porch, once just a small wooden space at the edge of his home, had become a symbol. A symbol of courage, of trust, of unexpected greatness. And though he was only a man, he now carried the proof that even the smallest actions could echo across worlds. He turned back to the small home, tending to the remaining traps and preparing for whatever would come next. Somewhere out there, a ranther flew among the clouds, powerful and free. And Elias, the human who had offered his porch to a dying dragon, had left a mark on the universe that would not soon be forgotten. The porch stood quiet, strong, and eternal, a reminder that courage and kindness, even in the smallest place, could change the fate of worlds.